From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. We have so much strange news to share with you if you are tuning in. The evening our program publishes August the 25th, 2025. Oh, man, there's brain rot. There's some true crime going on in Vegas that has encountered some geopolitical interest that I know we're fascinated to get into. Before we do any of that, along with a couple other strange stories, guys, remind me, you guys eat pork, right?
I ate pork for dinner last night. Had some delicious pork ribs.
On occasion.
And I've been known to sup on some swine. This is interesting because if you were trying to jazz up your pork game, if you're tired of the same old ribs or the same old pulled pork sandwich, maybe you can travel to California, where wild pigs are turning neon blue.
I mean, finally.
Do we know why?
That's an interesting question. So the real issue here seems to be not radiation. We've been on a kick of radioactive animals recently. It doesn't seem to be a genetic mutation, and the pigs from outside, from the exterior, look like your normal wild pig, and don't interact with them if you don't have to. But if you cut them open, you will see their flesh, their interior is neon blue, a bright neon blueberry blue. Investigations by local authorities in California have found that this super strange color change was caused by a poison, a rodenticide. There's been a warning issued across California. This poison is often sold dyed in its consumer form, just so you can identify it. You know what I mean? Like the reason different gas companies will put a smell into the gas so you can detect a leak before your house explodes.
It makes sense that they would use this blue color because it is not naturally occurring.
No, it's very like Smurf blue or like a sports drink or something. I distinctly remember when I was a kid, they had these dinosaur gummy candies that were called dinosaurs, and they would dye your tongue different colors. You know what else they'd dye different colors? Your poop.
Urine or poop, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Guys, this is a crazy thing. Not great. At least these aren't meant to be eaten, or were these maybe hunted as wild game to be eaten, or we don't have to worry about consumption?
Right. Well, people will hunt pretty much anything they can hunt. It's going to be rather odd for most people to eat this source of pork versus, the kind of pork you would buy from a factory farm produced and delivered to a grocery store. But yeah, this is discovered by hunters. We know that these various environmental poisons, pesticides, rodenticides, herbicides, they do appear to have knock-on consequences. This one is making the news. The specific chemical in question here is called diphacinone, Diphacinone. This stuff is getting in the news just because of the coloration involved, like the mention of dinosaurs there earlier. If you want to read more, check out Science Alert from August 16th, 2025 by Tessa Koumandoros, who is a journalist we've actually mentioned in past iterations of this program. Be safe out there, man. It was so hard for me not to do the Alex Jones voice and say, they're turning the pigs blue. It started turning the frogs gay. Now the pigs are blue.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a Democratic conspiracy. Why can't they turn the pigs red? We're going to pause for a word from our sponsor, and we'll get into even more strange news. we're going to go through some ups and downs in tonight's recording in our weekly Strange News segment. But as we're getting there, we had to have at least one piece of something vaguely conspiratorial. Guys, remember Easter Island?
Of course. How could I forget the island with all the bunny rabbits?
Rapa Nui, as the indigenous folks would call it. Rapa Nui is famous for these huge stone sculptures, the distinctive heads of Easter Island. The story behind them is itself compelling and tragic. It's kind of a parable for the dangers of environmental degradation. But I didn't realize this until a listener hit me up earlier. Guys, someone discovered a new Easter Island head just in July. A new statue suddenly appeared on Easter Island. And
whoa!
Wait a minute, appeared? Or is this another one of those art hoaxes?
Well, no, it must have been buried or something, right? It can't. It wasn't. It didn't just like was
manifest.
Sitting there.
It erupted slowly right by the landing strip. No, that would have been way cool.
Whoa.
And it had a warning about. It had a warning about the dangers of movie studios doing reboots instead of original content. No, that didn't happen. It was it was discovered, as you said, Matt, somewhat buried. It was in a dried lake bed. So let's go to Tim Newcomb, writing for Popular Mechanics. Do check out his article here. Right now, as Tim points out, there are more than 1,000 what we call moai statues on Easter Island. And this is the thing that most people, I think it's fair to say, most people think of these big heads, these stone carvings, when they think of this island. But this new one was just discovered, found in a dried up lake bed. Everybody was dumbfounded because, look, Easter Island is not a big place. You know, it's still not too, it's amazing, but it's not too surprising for ancient cities to be discovered in the jungles of South America, because that's a huge place, right?
Yeah,
but
it's a little densely vegetated, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why this is incredibly fascinating and irregular. If we go to Terry Hunt, professor of archaeology at the University of Arizona, he was speaking with Good Morning America, who also snagged this story, and he said, "We think we know all the moai, but then a new one turns up, a new discovery, in this case, in this lake at the statue quarry. There have been no moai found in the dry bed or in what was previously a lake in the past, so this is a first."
Can I just say good on Good Morning America for breaking a story? You do love to see it. It's nice that they're staying relevant.
Yeah, it's nice that they're open to stories outside of the usual news cycle. The fact that others have been discovered, near a quarry is indicative of how far people got into the stone construction process. And I think that would make a good episode for either Stuff They Don't Want You to Know or Ridiculous History. It's one of those ones that's weird we haven't done yet. We haven't done
Easter Island a wonder of the world?
Well, the people who make that list are, in my opinion, a little bit biased.
Well, at the very least, it's an UNESCO site, right? It's got to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got some sort of accolades. So here's why we're finding it. This shows us two interesting things. One is really cool, and one is a little bit dystopian. One is kind of a what rough beast, its hour comes at last, slouches toward Bethlehem kind of thing. The good news is that this statue may well not be the last big stone head discovered. There may be more discovered in the near future. So that's good news, and that's fascinating because that can teach civilization more about the mystery surrounding these carvings. However, the good news is related to the bad news. The reason we found this previously unknown statue is because of global environmental degradation. The area is undergoing a lot of drying. And that's why we were able to find this unique sculpture in this dried up lake bed.
Isn't it interesting, though, that they haven't done any excavations for things like that? One would think that would be a prime real estate for archaeology digs, looking for additional buried pieces. It's kind of crazy that it just sort of uncovered itself due to this sort of environmental degradation. By the way, Easter Island, Rapa Nui, was not designated as an UNESCO site until 1995. That seems a little bit offensive to me. It's
Right.
a little recent. It seems like it should have gotten the designation long ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, 1995 was technically long ago at this point.
Oh, geez, stop it, Ben. You're hurting my feelings. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Well, neither are you. The point holds there. The increasingly arid conditions may well lead to the discovery of new Easter Island statues. So we're gonna leave that one there, and hopefully we'll return maybe in the future with an episode about the mystery, the fact and fiction surrounding the conundrum of these massive statues out there in Easter Island. And by the time we get to the story, guys, I don't know, there may be babies alive in the world today that were not necessarily born of man.
Whoa.
Like test tube stuff?
Oh, like in Bebe's Kids? Test tube baby. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we don't die, we multiply.
For the unrelated, for the longest time when I first saw the animated masterpiece Bebe's Kids, I thought he wasn't calling them test tube babies. I thought he was just saying test two baby, like the number 2. And I thought, this slang is so weird. Why does he mean that something went wrong and they got to try again? I don't know.
Yeah, I could follow your logic on that one, Ben.
I was not a clever entity then or now. So
Highly doubt that to be the case, sir.
That's
But go on with your self-deprecating humor.
Very kind. So here's what we're talking about with a baby not born of man. I'm just sounding eldritch on that because it's a cool vibe. Get this, folks. The nation of China is currently building what they call a pregnancy robot to help you carry your human baby to term. A non-organic surrogate, essentially. I had the same Marge Simpson growl. Yeah.
It's like an incubator, but for the full fetal development thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Dr. Zhang Qifang, the founder of Kaiwa Technology in Guangzhou. This scientist is leading a team to create sophisticated machines that have synthetic uteruses housed within their abdomens that are then, these uteruses are connected to specialized tubes that altogether, when combined, they function similar to an umbilical cord. They deliver the essential nutrients to a developing fetus. If this works, according to Doc Zhang, these robots would be capable of carrying pregnancies for about 10 months before facilitating delivery. The working prototype that they want to unveil should hit next year, 2026. And this was surprising to me as well. It's only $14,000 US. That's their price point. That seems alarmingly affordable, right?
Oh, man. Well, this initially rubs me the wrong way for reasons. Is there not a scenario wherein this kind of technology could be beneficial for someone who cannot conceive?
I would say even past that, it's a great question. Even past that, it appears the idea is to help people, who couldn't conceive, but also people who couldn't safely carry a fetus to term. Right. So maybe you could conceive, but then due to pre-existing medical conditions, your likelihood of carrying the baby yourself could be, dangerous for you and the child. So it also makes it more accessible than the traditional surrogate route, because traditional surrogate routes in the United States, as anybody who's watched Always Sunny in Philly know, can be quite expensive. They can cost between $100,000 to $200,000. So if this pregnancy bot does roll out off the drawing board, if it itself comes to term in the market, then this could be a game changer for people who want kids and can't afford a traditional surrogate route.
Yeah, and maybe I should even apologize for my initial spidey sense being to recoil in horror at this idea. Maybe just pregnancy bot just sort of is inherently a little freaky sounding, but I can see the benefits of this. Does it walk around? Is it anthropomorphized?
That's the question. Okay, so we have to be careful with a lot of this stuff. Whenever you read a headline now from any number of legit journalistic outfits, you have to be careful because increasingly, at least I've noticed, there will be out of context kind of AI generated photographs that can be quite misleading. So that's why I would say let's not trust any real descriptions of the prototype till we see pictures of the actual thing in 2026.
I saw a news article about a cat barge for rescue cats in Amsterdam, and the image was just like this floating cat city. And I sent it to someone immediately. Look how cool that is, only to be immediately admonished for sending them an AI photo. It's so easy to fall into these traps, so don't feel bad. It happens to the best of us, but I'm with you 100%, Ben.
And it's easy also to fall for the trap of hyper optimism with technology, though I think nowadays a lot of us are a little more healthily cynical or jaded about these glowing reports coming from private companies, right? That want a thing to work because it will be a huge amount of revenue for them. Public reaction is notably divided. I am going to say in full disclosure that my anti-technology stuff came out very quickly reading this. I saw a ton of problems with, how this could easily accelerate the move toward tinkering with a human fetus in the womb. Depending, like now you can really control the mix directly. You can do all sorts of shenanigans.
Ben, back to your baby's kids reference. I've never really quite understood what a test tube baby is. Is this that? Is it not just when things are artificially inseminated outside of the womb, or is a test tube baby something different? And is that term even offensive and antiquated at this point in time?
It's meant to be offensive in baby's kids. It's meant to be a humorous pejorative, but it does that in that sense. In the animated film, it does refer to artificial insemination, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. My concern here is more, again, the idea of how this opens up the traditional pregnancy and birth process to some other technological propositions that maybe people aren't comfortable with, and maybe we shouldn't be comfortable with it because we've all surely seen Gattaca. I am killing it with the pop culture references today, you guys.
Oh, it comes up all the time. So this is in vitro fertilization, though, is what this is. Just like a little bit more of a high-tech version?
I think they have a couple of different options that they could pursue here. Now, what that would primarily be stuff like are the egg and the sperm combined in this device, right? Or are they combined and then transplanted in? Weirdly enough, there's a precedent to this because in 2017, over in Philadelphia, some boffins at the Children's Hospital created what they call the biobag experiment. They took premature lambs who were birthed early, too early to survive, and they put them in controlled fluid environments or biobags, and they were able to successfully keep the lambs alive and keep them developing as though they had never left the womb. So this could be a good thing. This could lead to some terrifying things, similar in a way, similar to how the good news, bad news of Rapa Nui is directly related. All right, guys, before we move on, what do we think? For it or against it? Or more information?
I'm on the fence.
I think this could be pretty great. Especially for an emergency situation, as you were talking about, Ben, for a mother that is potentially putting her life in danger to give birth and then allowing for that to be a possibility, or for someone who physically cannot carry a child, but now maybe a couple can have part of that experience at least. I don't know. I think that I feel like it's positive.
No, I see that too, and it took me a minute to get to that, but I do think that's true. And to Ben, to your point, I think I'm just so dystopia coded about a lot of this tech that's being rolled out so willy and or nilly that it's easy for my brain to just sort of like look at the worst possible version of what the intentions of the technologists behind this kind of thing might be.
It would be weird if you could add some stuff to your baby, upgrade your baby while it's in the thing,
Exactly.
eventually.
For just a few coins more, once they already have you as a captive audience, right? Because the way you would do it, late stage capitalism argues, you get the baby in there, right? You've got the parents already with a sunk cost, and you don't offer the upgrades until that point. And then
it's a 9-month subscription, baby.
You could also do something clever with ad-supported revenue. But anyway, ethics aside, this is a brave new world. Shout out to Huxley. We don't know how far this is going to come to term. Thank you for the drum roll there, Dylan, because a lot of it depends not on the technology. A lot of it depends instead upon the regulatory bodies of China and where they fall on the question I posed to you guys about whether you want to be for or against it. So we'd love to hear your thoughts, folks. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com. There's a bunch of stuff that we're not going to get to for this one, especially for all our fellow gearheads and car fans. Volkswagen is officially locking higher horsepower behind a paid subscription. That's going to be great. The Oklahoma ideology test. What could go wrong? Why don't you tell us? And we're going to pause for a word from our sponsors.
And we return with more strange news, y'all. I'm gonna put it to the group. Would you like the quirky, pop culture-y, slightly irritating story first, or the macabre, somewhat bummery story first?
Ugh. Well, I would say dealer's choice, though I do always like asking those kind of questions. Let's roller coaster it, man. As long as we've been trying to end on a high note for listener mail and strange news. So as long as we get to a high note by the end, then I think we're good.
We got a high note on the way. Literally. It's in the sky.
Well, speaking of roller coasters, really quickly, I'm going to split the difference and lead with a story of triumph, very short mention of a thrill seeker in the UK who has just set a new Guinness World Record by riding 55 roller coasters in a single week. Dean Stokes from Brighton by the Sea said he in total went on 108 roller coasters at 32 theme parks across the United Kingdom in 16 days. He's 36 years old, and he started at Brighton Palace Pier on the 2nd of August and ended at Thorpe Park in Surrey. An Instagram post that he put up said this in his moment of triumph. He posted this, rather. I did it. I even did an extra victory lap on Hyperia to celebrate. That must be a roller coaster of some sort. Now I'm a bit of a coaster head, but that just seems like an awful lot. But he looks very happy, and I think we all extend our congratulations to Mr. Stokes for his new Guinness World Record. So now that I've sort of softened things up, I know I offered you guys the option, but I think I'm going to lead with the bummer story because I'm going to try to keep it short. It is just wild, y'all. It's the kind of headline you see and you're not even quite sure what the details could possibly be. A family in Pennsylvania whose veteran son tragically passed received his brain in a box in the mail from a funeral home. Questions?
Like the way we've heard about donations of body parts and stuff? Is that what we're talking about?
Not exactly, though. It does beg the question of why did they remove his brain? What was it doing in a box? How does such a tragic and despicable and clearly unfortunate mix-up take place? Because according to reporting from The Guardian, this is not something that should ever happen. Can you imagine a scenario? I mean, we're not like ancient Egyptians putting the pharaoh's brain in removing it through the nose and putting it in the jar next to the sarcophagus and the pyramid. There's no reason to remove a brain. I don't think that happens.
And then to take the time to put it in a box and send it with, a shipping address and all that other stuff, right? Or are we saying it was just dropped off?
Yeah, that's the thing. It is not common practice at all in the United States for a funeral home specifically to do this. There might be exceptions again, like Matt, your excellent point about body donation after death, posthumous body donation. But yeah, to be crystal clear here, funeral homes are not supposed to do this, but funeral homes have gotten up to all kinds of shenanigans. I'm thinking of the scandals in North Georgia in particular.
Yeah, well, this took place in Georgia, actually, in Marietta, or one of the funeral homes involved, the Nick and Nick funeral home. Nix and Nix, thank you. It's odd. I mean, I guess that's their name, but it doesn't quite roll off the tongue. And I would like to correct myself. This was not sent via the post. They hand-delivered this to the family when they went to the funeral home to recover their son's personal effects. The personal effects, which is maybe even crazier, included this like red plastic type box inside of a cardboard box, which the fact that they tried to get into it because they were curious, they didn't know what it was, and they weren't able to, does indicate it was somehow sealed, because of biohazardous material. However, it would appear that it was not sealed well enough because they didn't know what to do with it. They couldn't get into it, so they put it in the car, only to come back to the car and try to remove it. And the father, Mr. Butler, got brain goo all over his hands. It was leaking into the vehicle. I mean, right?
Yeah.
You've already lost a beloved son, and you're dealing with everything that involves. And now you are, well, the way the father put it, let's just get right to it. He referred to it as the smell of death permeating his vehicle, and then realizing that there was bodily fluids leaking out of this box. Lawrence Butler was the father's name, by the way. Timothy Garlington was the son's name. His remains were shipped from Georgia to a funeral home in Pennsylvania, which is where the family is from. That's where they picked up the effects and were handed this box. The two funeral homes and now having the ever-loving pantsuit off of them, understandably so, for negligence. Let's just read from the Guardian piece. Two funeral homes allegedly gave grieving parents their deceased son's brain in a box, which began to smell, leaked into their car, and got on the father's hands when he moved it, according to an updated lawsuit filed this week. The father, Lawrence Butler, said the discovery was overwhelming at a news conference on Thursday, leaving a horrific memory that mars the other memories of a good young man.
That's horrifying.
It was and still is in my heart that I got in my car and I smelled death. I just don't think there's any version of this that doesn't result in them getting significant damages paid out.
Yeah. It's hard to understand what series of mess ups could have led to that occurring. Like, just because that's multiple errors, right?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, they consulted for this piece, or actually, the lawyer of the family. They have representation in Philly, or in Pennsylvania, and in Georgia. And one of their attorneys, after doing some digging and consulting with various folks from the funeral industry, said that at no point in the process is the brain separated from the body in that fashion and shipped in that fashion. If it ever is, he said, then it is in a sealed bag and labeled as a biohazard. Once again, reading from The Guardian, whether or not Nix and Nix, this is the funeral home in Philadelphia, knew a brain was inside the box, Stewart alleged they should not have handed the box over to the Butlers because it was not on the list of belongings sent from Southern Cremations, the crematorium in Georgia, in Marietta. And the only thing we've got from the funeral home, Nix and Nix, we've got a quote, a really delightful quote from Julian Nix, telling the AP it was definitely not our fault. So, the lawyer for the family did indicate that they have not even received anything resembling an apology. But, in the legalese of it all, an apology would perhaps be an admission of guilt. So I could maybe see why that wouldn't be so forthcoming. But I'm curious to see. It does not feel like these two organizations are going to be in business for much longer. What do you guys think?
Unfortunately, it's terrible how often these kind of things will not spell doom for a company people just play the Spider-Man game of pointing at each other, wait for the news cycle to move on. And this leads to what we discussed earlier in our funeral home episode. A lot of the things that appear to be mom and pop institutions are in fact owned by one large company. So they might close down that brand, but keep the facility and reopen it under a new name.
Yeah, dramatized beautifully and disturbingly in the HBO seminal series 6 Feet Under. Kroner, I believe, was the name of the big mega funeral company that was all about buying up these mom and pop companies. And a big conflict in the show comes from the Fisher family not wanting to play ball and wanting to keep their family-owned funeral home in the family.
You see what I'm saying,
it's
though?
very real. Oh, I absolutely
see what I'm saying?
like, just like
Blackwater, Academi, or Comcast and Xfinity.
Or Bush Mills buying craft breweries, not to,
sure.
But I mean, it's all a subterfuge, 100%.
And this is also, this is terrible because, in the case of cable providers, we're talking about a luxury or the ability of communication. But here we're talking about desecration of the dead. So I do hope there are consequences. Clearly it was a mistake. It wasn't like someone was trying to perversely harass people at one of the worst moments in their lives, but something should be done. There should be consequences.
Yeah, and that's one of the points made by the attorneys involved, saying that they want to, make sure something like this never happens again. So we're going to move from brains in a box to brain rot. I had to do it. There's no way around it. I'm sorry. We are talking, as we do every year, about the new words that have been entered into the English lexicon that is the Oxford English Dictionary. I think brain rot specifically was entered in last year. But brain rot encompasses a whole lot of weird slang and meme culture, and a lot of these terms that have now been entered in this year would fall under the category of brain rot, including specifically, I would say, skibbity. Skibbity, which is apparently means something is bad. It is, of course, a reference to the very popular YouTube Shorts series. Not that it's presented on YouTube Shorts, it's just like their short videos. Skibbity Toilet, which is a odd kind of weird world where there are these creatures that are heads and toilets that are fighting against like these robots, race of robots. Absolute brain rot, absurdist internet humor. And it's kind of, seeped into the lexicon, especially with Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids saying things are skibbity riz, blah, 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 blah. And it sometimes isn't even clear whether it means something is good or bad. I think it all depends on the context and the emphasis that you put on it. But it is one of the new words that have been entered into the Cambridge Dictionary, not the Oxford English Dictionary. Some other ones.
I'm relieved.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you. No, I hear you. Some others include tradwife. Tradwife being a homemaker type. I don't think it's a particularly new concept, but it does appear to revolve a little bit more around someone who exhibits that kind of life and posts about it a lot. Delulu is just a shorthand for delusional, imagining things that aren't there. That's the thing that's crazy. Skibbity can simultaneously mean cool and bad, or sometimes nothing at all. Luke, which is a lot of these terms stem from drag culture. And so Luke, L-E-W-K, is, of course, a little twist on the word look, talking about a style, a particular type of outfit that may stand out from the crowd, be a little bold or eye-catching. Colin McIntosh, who is the lexical program manager at Cambridge Dictionary, said that this is from ABC News, that the rise of words like skibbity and delulu shows how internet culture is reshaping the English language. And here's the part I'd love to debate with y'all, or just maybe discuss, lasting ways. She said this: "It's not every day you get to see words like skibbity and delulu make their way into the Cambridge Dictionary," McIntosh said. "We only add words where we think they'll have staying power. Internet culture is changing the English language, and the effect is fascinating to observe and capture in the dictionary." Now, while I agree, I think we all can, that the fluctuating nature, the malleable nature of the English language is fascinating, I would beg to differ on the staying power of skibbity and even delulu. Even if people are using them, in political speeches, which I believe delulu was used by a politician giving a speech either in D.C. or maybe even it was abroad. They all seem very fad-based to me, and I just don't feel like skibbity toilet and the concept of something being skibbity is gonna make the grade, down the line. So I yield my time. What do you guys think?
It's just a strange term for us because guys, we're in our early 40s now. So it's just weird.
Think about like dated slang from when we were young. Like so much of that stuff just does not fly.
It falls away, right? You're right. It's
off.
A fad.
I just kind of think that this is a good way for these dictionary folks to grab some headlines.
There you go.
And turn some heads and be a little divisive. But to me, it sort of also maybe speaks to the somewhat irrelevance of these types of collections if there isn't really that much scholarly rigor going into it. And a question that my buddy Jonesy on the Weird AF News podcast made was, does this mean we can use Skibbity or Luke in Scrabble and Bananagrams?
Scrabble has a different.
That's
they
right.
have
Ben.
a different
They do
approach.
have they have a board.
Their own
That's
reference work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To the original question, I think it's important to zoom out from our personal experiences in media res, in the thick of it, and think through the larger context of etymology. Now, I agree that a lot of what we call slang words are indeed ephemeral, right? And they become archaic, and just like a stone rippling across a pond, if you're skipping a stone, then they will have this sort of wax and wane, but like for every word like dude, right, which is older than a lot of people think, there are phrases like 23 skidoo, which came and went. That's what I think of with skibbity. So it's not that all these slang words should be dismissed or looked down upon because they don't happen to be the tried and true words that have stood the test of time. It's more that they have a high rate of attrition. So think of 100 slang words. It's safe to assume 10% will make it over a century or so in some form. And then it goes to the idea of, we've opened a door here, the idea of what we count as permanence, the ephemeral nature, right? Because the English language is a living language that is such a weird mixtape. I heard it called, a friend of mine recently said, English language is, imagine if you had a bunch of Vikings invading and they yelled at some Germans, but French people yelled back.
Totally.
And
exactly
I think,
right.
Skibbity, the next logical question is not just will Skibbity last, but the next question is something like, will the word television last, or TV? What do we define as permanence? It's very difficult to do that in something that is not a dead language.
Well, yeah, for sure. And also, it would seem to me that the minimum criteria of a word being entered into a dictionary of note would be that it has a fixed meaning, at least to some degree, that we can agree on. And the definition in Cambridge for skibbity is a word that can have different meanings. Such as cool or bad, or can be used with no real meaning at all as a joke. And that just to me is like... Come on, really?
Yeah,
it just seems
chuggy.
like a headline. Yeah, man. Why didn't chuggy make it? Yeah.
Those self-reflexive antonyms, though, are pretty common in English.
I suppose
not
that's
to
true,
devil's
man.
advocate, but peruse
No, you should
means
be.
both
Always.
to skim and to scrutinize. There are a lot of things like that. Also, it may have been Ridiculous History. It may have been Brain Stuff years ago, but it is the process of getting a word submitted to the fanciest reference works you can imagine. It's pretty strange. It's something like get it used in print 5 times and then have it be over a certain period of time. Exactly. So maybe the rubric itself is a bit antiquated.
Real shifting goalposts. Well, this was fun. I think we're good to pop to a quick break. Hear a word from our Skibbity sponsor, and then we'll be back with a last little run of strange news stories for you.
And we've returned. Guys, did you see the thing that Dylan posted?
No, I didn't.
Over there, it's on Reddit.
Yeah.
You should click on the link.
Okay.
Pretty great. It seems as though somebody...
Yes, I did see this on the internet organically. Yeah. This Skibbity Rizzler is 8. No cap. Bruh, I'm 8. It's like the birthday party sign situation for kids, for clearly a Gen Alpha. Yeah, birthday party bash.
Great joke from the parents, but it also reminds me of that thing where, going back to our conspiracy of cool, we didn't mention this too much on air, but one of the things people think is inherently uncool is when their parents try to jokingly or sincerely use slang.
Great way to kill it.
You see that? Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Like funky.
You know what's funny, though? I mean, maybe it is a product of being a little older, but I really do dig using older slang. Or at least it just feels it's a more natural fit for me. Like I call people cats sometimes. You know, I say something, I call money like scratch and things like that. And I'm not doing it ironically. I don't know. Slang is such a personal thing. And I think the moment you start to kind of jump on the slang train and not have your own sort of like picky choosy way of talking, it can sort of be a little uncool, right?
No, I think that's groovy as hell.
Thanks,
no cap.
buddy. Yeah. See, you're combining them. See, old meets new. This is great. Thank you.
I like all the slang. I mean, it's just it's a beautiful opportunity for exploration. There's
100%.
poetry to language, you know? So
no doubt.
I love all slang when it appears that the person using it, if you're communicating clearly, then who are we to judge? You know what I mean? There are some things that don't feel right, mouthfeel for me, but that's fine because there are literally over 8 billion other people who can do it. So I adore it. And you guys know I'm all about archaic slang.
Yeah, man, I'm saying, and I wasn't saying that I just exclusively use that, but I'm just saying I kind of have like a little bit of a hodgepodge in the way that I employ slang. And to me, that is part of the fun of language. And I would argue that another aspect of being cool is being a good communicator and being able to like, you know, get your meaning across to just about anybody.
That's right, dude. Most of my slang it's mostly from South Park episodes, I think. Some Simpsons stuff, a little bit of Crocodile Hunter every once in a while.
Yeah, you're a bit of a Simpsons simp, aren't you?
Yeah. It's weird. It's the way it works, right? It's popular culture. It just flows
Or a Simpsons
through us.
I hear you. I don't want to derail us, but I realize now when I think about it, I accidentally invent a lot of slang just because I feel like I'm still learning English. So that's something that comes up. Would love to hear your favorite invented slang words. What have you created in your family?
Give us an example. Give us an example.
Ben, well, now I'm going to say, Ben, you should submit some of these to Cambridge. I bet they'd accept them.
Yes.
Sure. Bag of badgers. I would say also, I'm trying to think of another one because they don't seem weird or unusual to me. Oh, old beans for something that's not new news or a new idea. Yeah, there are probably more the more we think about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if Cambridge will accept those. They're a little more phrase oriented than word oriented. But I know you got some words you've coined as well. But yeah, I'm sorry, we kind of derailed Matt's
That's okay.
intro.
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't want to derail you there, Matt.
Yeah. No. I was saying I was apologizing for my part in that. But what you got today for us, Matty?
Well, I was going to talk about this Sussy Baka Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, but I don't want to do that. We're not going to talk about him. Look him up if you want to. It's a whole story. Brought 8 full links to talk about that dude today and what he did and what's happening with him, but it's become a political black hole of sorts where it's just becoming a whole thing, and lines are being drawn about how you're supposed to feel about it, when on the surface and deeply within the story, it is just about a man that appears to have attempted to lure a child for a sex act and then was just let go on $10,000 bail, and then was allowed to fly back to Israel and probably won't face anything in the future. That's all it is. You can look up all the details if you want to. High level cybersecurity official with Israel that got caught in Las Vegas. Look it up on your own.
Had some hats that were black.
Yes.
Well,
yes,
and
yes,
it's
yes.
another example of like the potential evils of like all this diplomatic immunity type stuff. I know it's not exactly the same, but the idea that certain people just are afforded levels of protection for their evil acts that, the rest of the world does not get.
Check out Margaret Thatcher in Operation U Tree as well. Check out Cyril Smith. Check out other examples if you really want to ruin your afternoon. But Matt, I think that's the right tack to let our fellow audience members and conspiracy realists learn more about that if they are so inclined.
Yes, check it out. Please. It is worth your time, I suppose. Just don't get caught in all the political manipulation that's occurring. Instead, let's go to the Los Angeles Times and hear a heartwarming story from Salvador Hernandez. He wrote this on August 8th, 2025. I'm not going to say the title yet because we're going to tell it a little bit like a story. I hope you don't mind, Salvador. And then we'll say the title at the end so people can find all your writing. Here we go. There's a man in Southern California, guys. His name is Jason Hong. Jason is kind of awesome. He owns a plane. That's freaking nice, right? Nice work, Jason. It's a 1958 Cessna Skyhawk. This thing is a humble yet gorgeous single-engine plane. It has a red nose that kind of morphs into a red stripe that goes down both sides, and then there's a little yellow and purple that goes along with that stripe. It's a beaut. And this guy, Jason, when he arrived at this place called the Corona Municipal Airport, which is in the Los Angeles area, the Pasadena area, the Riverside is right there. You can look it up if you want to, the Corona Municipal Airport. He arrived there on July 27th for a 75th birthday flight. Jason 75. When he got there, guys, he couldn't find his Skyhawk. And we got a little quote here from Jason. Here it is, quote, "I got confused. I thought, did I park it somewhere else? Did the airport manager move it? But I looked all over. He couldn't find it. His airplane.
Dude, where's my Cessna?
Yeah, there you go. Where in the heck is my airplane?" It's, I think we've maybe all had that experience where we park our car somewhere in a huge parking lot and we really feel like we know exactly where it is. So you head to that location and it is not even close to where your car is.
Matt, I was hoping so much, man, that you were going to say, I think we've all been in that situation where you can't remember where you parked your 1958 Cessna Skyhawk. And I was just going to yes and the heck out of you. I was going to be like, absolutely. Common problem.
I wish. God, I wish. One day I will own a smaller plane. That will be so awesome one day. But in this case, in Jason's case, back on the 27th of July of this year, he couldn't find his plane. So he reported it missing. And he hoped the police could find this thing. He refers to it as his old treasure. Because, again, this is an older plane, and it's just awesome. So Jason, who visits this airport all the time, you guys ever been to a municipal airport like the one at DeKalb, Peachtree?
Yeah, it's a little more like for private planes. And
yeah.
I have not. I've seen them. We've got a decent view of a few of them around town. Yeah, for sure.
I've only been to a couple.
I love them. Probably, as you guys know, going to be more involved with some in the future. But yeah, they're way more informal in a lot of ways than a commercial airport. I think that's probably key to the story here.
Ooh,
yes.
And sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I did recently go to one, speaking of informal, here in Atlanta, and you'll probably know the name of it, Ben, but it is one of these airports that has a really cool little restaurant attached to it, where you can eat outside and just like watch the planes take off and land, and you can even like pay
57th,
for
right?
That's the one, correct. Yeah, you can pay for a little plane ride.
Well, and shout out to Downwind Restaurant that's there at DeKalb. And it's so, a lot of these airports are cool like that. It's a place to go hang out for a little bit. There's usually a restaurant, there's usually a little park of some sort, and just places to kind of gather and be. And like you said, Ben, informal is a great way to put it because it doesn't have that, there's not the tension that you get when you head towards a big old international airport or something. You're like, oh man, security's tight around here.
Right.
You don't feel that usually until you move through certain parts of it, and there is security and things like that often, but it's not the same. So Jason knows his way around there. He knows people around there. He knows other pilots because, pilots hang out at the airport.
It's like their golf course. It's and the restaurants we're talking about, the public spaces adjacent are like where you go after you've played your golf game. You might have a cocktail, grab some nosh with your other buddies you saw at the hangar. and then you'll trade war stories. It's a really cool environment usually, but that I think speaks to your point, Matt. He already has been going here for a while, so he knows the other regulars.
Yes, and he's saying, "Hey guys, you see my plane?" Everybody's going, "Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe." He eventually learns that on at least 2 occasions, somebody that was not Jason came and got his plane and just took it out and flew it away like it was theirs, and then took it somewhere else. He couldn't figure out where it was. People couldn't figure out where it was on July 27th. Neither could the police. So he reported the aircraft missing, and he hoped that somebody is going to find this thing. And again, he refers to it as his old treasure. This is a 75-year-old man just looking to have a little flight. Come on, who's taking this old treasure?
And folks, to be clear here, if we haven't said it explicitly before, he's not doing anything wrong. This is a joyriding recreational pilot. He's not moving weights over the border or anything like that, right?
Well, we don't know that much about Jason. We just know he has a plane. That's all I have to say.
Right. And we're assuming the best about people.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
That's the thing we're trying to work on as a group.
Yes.
Maybe a DB Cooper type situation, huh? I don't know.
Yes. So let's jump to 2 days later, July 29th. Somebody at the Laverne Police Department called and told Jason that the plane was located at this place called Brackett Field. This is about 25 miles northeast of that municipal airport, Corona Municipal Airport, where he parked it last. So Jason gets in the car, drives over to that airport, and guess what? There's his plane. Just parked there, nice. like he parked it there, like it was normal, like everything's cool. He said he checked out the plane, looked at the sides, did a little quick inspection of the plane. Everything feels in place and in working order, except there's a little bit of garbage on the inside of the cockpit. He also found some cigarette butts in the cockpit, which, come on, you don't smoke in another person's plane.
Hell no.
Don't smoke in any plane.
Don't smoke in a plane. Jet fuel is, oh my goodness.
That's the beauty of owning a plane. You can smoke in that one.
I guess that's true.
But what is this, like the Vietnam War? I respect helicopter pilots because they're crazy. And if you want to chain smoke while you're running the bird, then whatever it takes to get us in and out safely. But if you're in a plane, come on, man. And if you're in someone else's plane,
I know,
at least police the area. Just clean up, right?
Really
Spray a little
plane
Febreze.
hijacking etiquette. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes on, you guys.
Yeah.
Jason's a pretty smart guy. He says, all right, how am I going to prevent this from happening again? I know. I'm going to take the battery out of the plane, much like the way you would take the battery out of a car or something. You can't get the thing to start if it doesn't have that initial power, right? So it's brilliant. Let's do that. Sorry, mystery joyriding pilot. No more flying for you. I took your battery, my battery. But then just a few days later, guys, on August 3rd, Jason came back to the airport to clean up the plane because there was that garbage and stuff in there. And he also wanted to do a full inspection, only to find it was gone again.
No.
Yeah.
Man, homeboy needed the club or something. Like, I mean, good Lord. You almost got to respect the hustle of this wily gremlin-esque mystery man.
This is going into prank territory.
Right? Man, I hope Jason didn't have any enemies here. Well, here's what happens. Jason again reports the plane missing. And again, he gets a call, this time from a different police department, the El Monte Police Department. And his plane has been found at another small airport, the San Gabriel Valley Airport, about 18 miles west of that second airport, Brackett Field. So he again gets in his car, travels to another airport to find his plane again. He finds it, and he finds that somebody put a new battery in there.
Oh, okay.
Whoever's
you give and you
his
take,
plane.
right? There's a new battery for every cigarette butt. This is a relationship now, but there are no identifying notes, right? There's no like Rhett Baron-esque ha 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 Mr. Hong kind of note this time, or any time. Okay.
And get this, the police departments, all of them, now that he's in contact with, nobody has any surveillance video that captured the pilot, that captured the planes. No real leads. This is according to Sergeant Robert Montanez of the Corona Police Department. So he's just like, no, he doesn't understand. Why is this happening? So he ends up going to Flight Aware that we've mentioned before on this show. This is an app and website that you can use to track all kinds of different stuff that's in the air. It's just the public information plotted on graphs, basically, and on a real-time map. He noticed when he went back in time that his plane was flown 2 times on his 75th birthday on July 27th when he wanted to go out for a flight. 2 times. And one that left at 1:30 a.m. Pacific time. Mm-hmm. So it's just this very strange thing because Jason, when he was talking to the Los Angeles Times here, is, in his mind at least, estimating that whoever is taking his plane is not some joyriding person. This is somebody who understands planes. This is somebody who flies planes because they have successfully taken off and landed so many times at this point. They've had the tools or found or stolen or borrowed the tools that you would need to even get access to the battery in that plane, which are specialized. You can't just walk up there with a screwdriver and you're going to get the battery out. And he, it's just adding to this mystery of somebody who knows planes and does this stuff. It's just taking his. And it makes you wonder, does somebody just think that's their plane and they're getting in the wrong?
That is very charitable of you, Matt.
I think
appreciate that.
I think it's more like one missing piece in the story from the reporting I've seen here, Matt, is we don't know how frequently he flew the plane, Hong flew the plane before he discovered the joyriding.
Yeah.
So it may have been like the car that's parked at the end of the lot for long enough that the valet thinks they can just start scooping around with it.
Maybe. No, yeah, absolutely could be. But the other thing is, whoever is flying it is adding money because Jason found a pretty nice headset that you use when you're in the air there. Mm-hmm. Again, a battery for a Cessna like that is not cheap. The tools that you need to do that stuff, not cheap. Mm-hmm. So somebody is putting a lot into this. And according to the Los Angeles Times here, guys, according to the writing of Mr. Hernandez, there's one lead, a single lead. There is a description of a woman in her 40s or 50s who another pilot at one of these airports saw sitting in this plane, this specific plane, on multiple occasions. And the only reason why this was a remarkable thing that someone would remember is because everybody, once they land their plane at the municipal airport, they go hang out inside. They go do the things like we talked about earlier, hang out at the restaurant, maybe even have a drink. This person just sat in the cockpit after landing. And it's hot in those cockpits, especially in July, at the end of July towards August. It's getting real hot. This person just kind of hung out and then would take back off again. And, that's a weird thing. But that's all they got, you guys.
I kind of worship this person, man. I mean, this is like a real chaotic energy that this individual is putting out there. Yes, thank you, Ben.
Not about the money. It's about sending a message. There's also this aspect here. 2 quick responses, and I don't want to keep us too long. But first, guys, I think this could be how the case gets blown wide open, because the description of a woman, quote, in her 40s or 50s could lead to this is like you poke someone's personality here. And maybe the person hearing this, who is that lady in the cockpit, is like, screw you guys, I'm 37. And maybe they'll reach out to correct the record. Like, this surveillance footage is unfair. And then, the next thing is, and we haven't really talked about, is that the gas is free, right? So when you have a plane parked at a hangar like this, then you are paying fees like you would a boat at a marina. But those fees don't always include the consumables, right? Like the oil, like the gas here. So whomever is doing this is still gassing up the plane, and that might be a way to follow the breadcrumbs or the sky crumbs to solve the mystery of the Cessna Skyhawk.
Yeah, we don't have a solution, right? This still remains a mystery.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to have a solution.
Incredible. I prefer it.
Well, Jason did probably the right thing as an airplane owner, especially one like this. He locked the thing up. He chained it up. So it's not going anywhere unless somebody, goes in there with some heavy equipment and breaks that stuff off. I kind of wish he would have left it there with some kind of like
with a tracker,
camera, with a tracker, just something,
I wish it's an older plane. It's easy to hijack, or it's easy to
see. It's
hotwire or whatever.
Yeah, this is quite a bit older. Yeah.
I just meant, why isn't it happening to other people's planes is what I'm getting at.
Because other people, I'm pretty sure other people are using their planes more often. Got another theory for you guys. I love speculation on this. What if Jason himself is the culprit and he's doing this because he was getting in trouble with his family members for taking his plane out too often? And now he's, it's like a Fight Club thing. It wasn't me. There's a Tyler Durden in the sky. And I'm doing the best I can.
Are you saying it's the dude's alter? He's stealing the plane from himself?
I'm doing my best. He's saying to his family, I'm doing my best to hunt this person down, but he can't ever find the person. And he's doing it on purpose. So he can just be like, well, honey, I guess I do have to go out to the airfield more often so I can, keep an eye on whomever is stealing our plane. And it's not me. Cause like you said, I wanted to fly it more. You told me I shouldn't fly it as much. We compromised and I'm doing what you told me to do.
That's like the plot of Charlie Kaufman's twin brothers movie, The Third, in Adaptation. It was him. The detective is chasing the serial killer, and it turns out it was him the whole time. And of course, Charlie is like, that's idiotic. There's no way to make that make sense or play out.
I just started watching Mr. Robot again, and it sounds like that, too.
Very much. Yeah. That's a great reference. Also, you're welcome, Larry David. This is an amazing pitch for another episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes. So, guys, let's end here with a quote from Jason. Here it is. Someone breaks into your house. They're looking for jewelry or cash, right? But in this case, what's the purpose? It's like someone breaks my window and then they put up a new one. It's the strangest thing. I love that. The idea that someone breaks your window and then the next day replaces it. And they keep breaking your windows and then replacing them.
I hope they get to hang out.
Yeah, me too. Everyone, if you want to check this out, please look up. Someone keeps stealing, flying, fixing, and returning this California man's plane. But why? Written by Salvador Hernandez for the Los Angeles Times on August 8th.
It's an incredible story. It's an incredible story.
It's so great. Thank you, Salvador, and thank you, LA Times. That's it for me, guys.
And that's it for our show. Fellow conspiracy realists, friends, and neighbors, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you are a bot, a human, or another entity all your own, we are grateful that you've spent time with us for some strange news. Thanks also, of course, to the legendary Tennessee pal, Dylan Fagan. Please do join us in our upcoming explorations. We've got some Anunnaki stuff dropping finally. We're continuing the Epstein saga. We are going to figure out whether you can actually talk to animals. Very excited about that one. So give us the straight poop from your neck of the global woods. Make up your own slang and send it along. You can call us on a telephone. You can send us an email, and you can find us on the lines.
You sure can. And speaking of the straight poop, there was another story that slid through the cracks that I meant to mention. Apparently, Vladimir Putin carries his bodyguards carry a poop suitcase whenever he travels so that they can recover his feces so that no one finds it and keeps it and tries to extract his precious DNA. I'm just saying. So we're talking about straight poop. You can find us indeed at the Hansel Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook with our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy on X, FKA, Twitter, and on YouTube with video content galore for you to get the straight poop on. You can also find us at the Handle Conspiracy Stuff Show on Instagram and TikTok.
Do you want to call us? Our number is 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, you've got 3 minutes. It's a voicemail. Give yourself a cool nickname and let us know within the message if we can use your name and message on the air. If you want to send us an email, we are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back. Spoiler, pretty often these evenings. Ask us for a random fact. We will gladly give you one. Dealer's choice, out of context. Thanks to people who are writing in with that already. One last funny Putin story we didn't get to. Speaking of weird vehicle stuff, Putin, in his recent visit to Alaska, gave a random man a motorcycle. The man has no idea why. But congratulations, Alaska Dude. So join us, tell us your weird stories. We'd love to hear them. Talk soon. Conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.